Hello, everyone. Oh, I forgot to check all the settings to make sure everything is working. I have no idea if you can hear me. Oh my God. Oh. If you see my mouth moving and you can't hear me, please put it in the chat and tell me I can't hear you. Should be working. It should all be working. But I forgot to check the settings before I started the show. Oh my God! It won't let me go in to check the settings now, since supposedly I'm live. Okay. Let's hope we didn't mess anything up. Anyway, most staff drama isn't bad people. It's missing basics, unclear expectations, weak onboarding, and no receipts when things go sideways. Today we're fixing... I can't quite read that. Today we're fixing the quiet stuff that blows up teams, and I'm giving you 2 HR tools that make you look like you have an HR department even if you don't. Okay, I hope they're good tools. So we're in a new year, so maybe we should have some new systems, not just new goals. So, staffing can be hard. Employees can be hard. Especially if we don't learn to let go, or learn to give everyone proper goals within the organization, right? Everyone, ask your questions in the chat. If you've got an HR question or an Indigenous relations question, some sort of question, go ahead, ask it. One thing I want to ask everybody is, what's your 2026 work goal? More money? Team goal? Sanity goal? Right? What's one workplace problem you refuse to drag into 2026, right? I'm going to put that in. I'm going to put those 2 questions in the chat. If you guys want to answer those in the chat, that's great. We all have stuff that we don't want to drag into the new year. So what's that goal you don't want to bring into the new year? Let's chat it up while I'm talking here. This is a continuing topic. Topic number 1 we're going to talk about today. Goals that actually work, right? From pie in the sky to mission to strategy to tactics, right? Your goal is what you want. Revenue, growth, stability. Your mission, what you'll do, your weekly actions, monthly actions, whatever. Strategy, more of what works versus a new thing, right? Strategy is kind of like, we're going to go in this direction, but it's not the tactic. The tactic, the specific moves you use to execute your strategy. So your goal is, we need to bring in more revenue for the company. All right. What you do weekly? You'll try to expand your team or improve your team in some way, right? More of what works, right? Your strategy. I'm going to double down and train real hard in first quarter all my employees and get them up to date. And then I'm going to hire more people, right? That's moves into overall strategy. But now, tactics. How are you training? Specifically, what are you training on? How much time are you spending training in each section for your current employees? And once you feel you've done a lot of training, what are your tactics for hiring that next person, right? Are you just putting out a simple job ad on Indeed? We know using Indeed can be a whole lot of garbage. So do you have a better tactic to find people if you're a business that isn't a public organization and isn't in a union environment? You probably have all the leeway and all the ability to do what you want to search for new people. You don't have to follow a specific hiring process. You can hire whoever you want, whenever you want, right? So think about your individual tactics. You want a specific person? Maybe you're just connecting with other people that already do that job and you're like, hey, come on over. Right? Doing some of your own headhunting. Right. Sorry, yawn. Here's a mini takeaway, right? If your goal doesn't have a weekly action attached, it's just a wish, right? If you're saying you want more revenue for your business, but you've got no action, no strategy, no tactics, nothing, like what? How are you going to do it? You can't just say, I want more revenue, right? Plan something. You got to do something if you're going to make more revenue. If you're moving into 2026 and you want to get things going, what's your one weekly action for your 2026 goal? What are you doing weekly to achieve your goal? It's hard for us to move forward if we don't create the steps, right? The baby steps we talk about. This is our current revenue. This is the revenue we want to get to. Is it one step? Absolutely not. It is 4,500 different steps that you have to do this year to get to that new revenue. So the steps, create the steps, the next step that moves you forward. There's so many behind the scenes activities that have to get done. And you need to be aware of them and you need to be working on them. Now, a lot of us, we don't want to acknowledge all the steps because it looks like a lot. It looks like hard work. So, one step at a time, man. If you're going to list out all the steps you think you need to do, I would almost get a notebook and just put each step at the top of each page of the notebook. That's all you're putting, right? The front of the notebook says, goal, double business revenue this year, right? And the first page says, train current employees, right? Now you use this whole page and you're like putting down all the things you can do to train and how long you're going to do it for. And then once you're done training everybody, then you flip the page and you've already written hire new salespeople or hire new employees, right? And you've already got a training plan in place for their new employees. So taking that first step, you've created your back end support. So now you go in and you start, all you're worrying about is getting new employees because you've already got a training plan in place. The new employees, you just put them through the same training, right? And then you go on to the next step. I think about the movie The Martian, or the book The Martian by Peter Weir. Is it Peter something Weir? Can't remember if it's Peter. Anyway, we got Matt Damon, who plays the main character, Mark Watney, in the book for the movie. And at the very end of the show, he's talking to the students he's teaching. He's now teaching potential new astronauts. And he talks about when things go wrong in space, you just work the next problem. You work on solving the next problem. And if you can solve enough problems, you get to go home. So think about the same thing. I mean, this isn't life or death, but it's your business. You need to not necessarily grow it, but certainly make it, at the very least, you want your business to go onto autopilot, so you don't have to be there all day working it. You are managing it. Okay. Thanks for the heart emoji with the hand heart emoji. Someone just gave that on Steam. Not Steam. God. This is on Twitch. Bisexual pride. Is that what that is? Is that what that is? Bisexual pride. All right. That's totally fine. We love everybody here. Strange comment. Anyway. So yeah, that was topic number 1. Get them goals going. Get them goals rolling. Goals are the big chunk from the floor you're on to the next floor, and all your mission, vision, strategies, tactics, those are the steps. Those are the many steps that you're going to be taking to get to the next floor. So topic number 2, this is kind of another continuation topic from the last show. I love talking about this. AI as your HR assistant. I mean, any business you're in, you can turn it into some sort of assistant. Your marketing assistant, your accounting assistant. It's just a matter of making sure it's trained up properly on how you do things and how you're operating your business. Then it can help you expand and grow. Oh, sorry. Earl Grey tea. Keeping my throat clear. Sorry, everyone. The big thing about AI is it's there to help you with drafts, right? Not the final answers. You create policy, you create a handbook, you create a process, whatever it is you're creating, a plan, marketing plan, whatever you've created, that's your draft. Now you take it and you work it more. Better yet, you take it to your team, the people you pay to be in your business, you show it to them, and you get their feedback. They're another brain. And chances are they're on the ground in your business, dealing with your clients and your customers. So why shouldn't you use their brain to give you feedback? You're paying for their time. People aren't just mindless machines doing their job. If you treat your employees like that, they're not going to stay long. They might stay longer if you're really good at paying them, but people leave businesses for two basic main reasons. Well, maybe three main reasons. The first reason is they're not making enough money. We all got to live. If we're trading our time for money, we got to be making enough to live, right? So if you're not paying well, they're going to leave. If they're not being challenged or getting a sense of being useful and contributing to the organizations, they'll leave. They could be the best paid person. Eventually, they may leave because they don't feel enlightened working for you. They're not being used. So if you're a low paying organization, they're going to leave even faster if they're not feeling useful. Right? Because if I feel useful and I'm enjoying my work, I'm willing to stay somewhere longer at a lower pay. Tricksy. And of course, the third main reason someone's going to leave is if it's just a terrible work environment, right? You could be paying them the most money in the world, but if it's a toxic wasteland, they're going to leave. So anyway, AI is your HR assistant. Write the rule. AI makes drafts. Humans make decisions. Best uses for small businesses. You want to create policies, templates, onboarding plans, and of course these are the drafts. Nothing is final. So don't take that out of context. We're not just getting AI to do all the work for us. We're getting them to do the drafts so that you know what's coming. Rewrites to grade 5 reading level so people actually read it. You hand someone a 20-page employee handbook, nobody's reading it. Nobody. They're going to read it when the shit hits the fan. That's the only time they're going to read that, right? So you're keeping it short, you're keeping it easy to read, and you're adding fun stuff in it, like little quizzes after important section or a crossword at the end, and they have to hand in those assignments within a couple of days as part of their training and onboarding, right? I love to compare and contrast. If you have a current piece of your policy, you've already created this policy, this is what your company's using, but now you got to create a new piece of policy. So you get the draft built and you get the team to give their input, but then you can also somewhere in that process say, hey ChatGPT, compare and contrast this for me. This document is already approved, already in being used in action. Can you please make sure that this new policy does not contradict the old one, and tell me how to fix it. Right? I love that compare and contrast. I've used it for a couple big I created a big policy, and then I compared that new policy to Alberta labor standards, and wow, the things ChatGPT was able to come up with and say, hey man, you can make all these changes, to comply with this. Oh, my nose. So compare contrast. That's an awesome one. If AI could save you 2 hours this week, which HR task would you delegate first? I'm going to put this in the chat. Go ahead and answer it if you want. But that is so cool. This is what AI does, right? Instead of sitting there for 2 hours trying to create this new policy, not everyone loves policy. I know that. I like creating policy, but even I get in a time crunch. And I'm like, ChatGPT, I need a policy for this. And they spit out a draft. And I can go in and just make edits. And then that's good, right? The initial creation process is always the hardest. When you and your team are just doing a review and making tweaks and changes, that's quicker. And you can get there faster. Instead of a week of you crunching on a thing, you're now got it to your team by end of day and tell them, hey, tomorrow give me some updates or whatever, right? So if AI could save you 2 hours this week, what HR task would you delegate first? You could also delegate any task. I mean, we're talking HR today, but any business related task, absolutely. So this is not a new topic. This is an old topic. I feel like my ChatGPT has let me down in helping me create topics. Because I've talked about this already. Oh my God. Wow. This is basically the same stuff I talked about last week. This is insane. Okay. I got an issue with my ChatGPT. Byte has let me down, and I'm talking about the same thing from the last HR show. Like, ho hum. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, it was good to review that other stuff. I don't want to talk about these other stuff too, because this isn't a new topic. We talked about this last HR show, the HR receipt system, and that's where you're documenting issues and problems, patterns right away. Dave had this on this date. Dave had this problem. This is what happened. This is how I trained him up. And moving forward, he's going to be doing this, right? Immediately, you're dealing with an issue and you're creating just a tiny little note. It's not a biased note or anything like that. It's just stating the facts of the situation and moving you towards acknowledging that every time there's an issue in your organization, you need to do some training. So it's not, you're just not out there all willy-nilly. You've got to remember, you've got to do some training. And training is ongoing. No matter how big your organization is or how small your organization, You are constantly having to train. It's going to happen. If you're not comfortable training, train somebody to do the training, right? There needs to be a mad dog in there making sure everybody knows what they're doing. And that's either you, or you've trained someone, your assistant manager, maybe you're just hiring a full-time manager. The word manager is for people managing people. Don't use the word manager if someone isn't managing people. You might say the chainsaw manager, and all this person does is organize the chainsaws, and the other employees, they come and sign out a chainsaw to use for their day when they go slashing. That's the wrong use of manager. Use chainsaw coordinator. Use chainsaw clerk. Use chainsaw something. Not supervisor, not manager, because these words should be used for managing people. It's a different level, right? Your chainsaw coordinator is an expert, probably on chainsaws, and their primary job is to do all the maintenance and repairs to all your chainsaws. Maybe you got 100 of them there, and they sign out and check in chainsaws all day for the crews going in and out, and they're recording who's beating up the chainsaws, who's not beating up the chainsaws. They're keeping track of all the maintenance on all the chainsaws that they're doing, and they're just coordinating and repairing the chainsaws. That's probably what they're doing. If you give them the word manager, chainsaw manager, well, they got no people there. They're not managing people. When you use the word manager, that's a step above. We talk about maybe equipment or supplies manager, right? Okay, they're at the top, but they have people. They have the chainsaw coordinator, they have the parts coordinator, they have the consumables coordinator, basically that person who's just dealing with how much oil we got, how many barrels of transmission fluid do we have, right? Like, there's these people doing individual tasks within your chainsaw organization, your slashing company or whatever, but the actual manager in that role is managing these people and managing the flow of the information. So the chainsaw coordinator says, I've did maintenance on 50 chainsaws this month. We're running low on chain oil and fuel for the chainsaws. That's what we need, right? And the manager is dealing with that information and helping. They're supervising the chainsaw coordinator, right? There's this level. The equipment manager or supplies manager doesn't necessarily they don't have to be an expert in any of these types of equipment, because he has experts, or they have experts in those roles. So it's just, let's manage these people, make sure they're doing their jobs, and make sure we're getting the proper requests in for supplies and things like that, right? Like, that's what the manager's doing. So as soon as you step across that supervisor manager threshold, you stop being a subject matter expert. You are no longer an expert in equipment, or chainsaws, right? So let's You have people who are working with chainsaws, but they're being supervised by someone else. And every now and again, one of those people gets moved into the chainsaw uh, coordinator role, and they're handling it. They're an expert on chainsaws, and they know how to do all the maintenance on chainsaws. Maybe they've taken some training, small equipment repair type training, whatever it might be needed. I don't know why I'm talking about chainsaws, but now, if that person moves up to the supply manager role, they no longer need their chainsaw expertise, right? There's that. I love a better analogy, the sales team. So you have your sales team. There might be multiple sales team, but you have your sales team. You're on the sales team. If you're the best salesman on the team, right, you're probably getting paid well, you're probably making lots of commissions, things like that. But you also want to make even more money. Salespeople tend to be very money motivated. So you want to be the sales manager. The sales manager role is not to make sales. The sales manager role is to train and manage the sales team. So they're not. So if you have this expert salesperson making a lot of sales who suddenly moves into the sales manager team, or sales manager role, sorry, you've lost that productivity, that revenue that person is generating. Because they no longer need to be a salesperson. They need to be a trainer. And they need to know how to manage people. It's a different ballgame. It helps that they do know about training, but me as an HR person, if I got the material to train people, I could train anybody on anything, right? I don't have to be a sales expert to train salespeople because I have material that I'm using. I just need to be good at training or teaching. And when you're in that manager role, you have to be good with managing with the people. So I say, if you have an amazing salesperson, do everything to keep them in a sales role. Give them better base pay. Give them better benefits. Give them more commission, right? Give them more one-time bonuses if they reach certain goals or certain levels, right? Do everything to motivate them and keep them generating revenue for the organization. You don't want that person leaving that sales role, right? If you end up paying them more, if that salesperson is making more money than the sales manager, that's fine. Because your sales team in a lot of organizations is how you generate all your revenue. If you didn't have a good sales team, your company would fail, right? So training. And we talked a lot about this next topic I'm supposed to be talking about today. Scheduling, fairness, nepotism, right? If you hire someone's friend to be in the company, you got to make sure that they're not in a compromising situation where they're going to be biased, right? And the best way to be fair is when you advertise a job, you're very specific about what the role is, what the hours of the role is. We are looking for a full-time person to work days, 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 or 8 to 4, whatever it is, but it's during the day. We are looking for a full-time person who's willing to work evening shifts, right? If they're not interested in evening shifts, then you're not hiring them. You're hiring someone who wants that. Maybe it's a person who has to look after a family member during the day, but they're open in the evenings to come work, right? And that's what you hired them for. It's very hard to be in an organization where you say everybody can get scheduled for any shift. That's terrible. That's Walmart. That's other big box stores or something like that, right? It's just because it's kind of a crappy work environment and they have trouble keeping people. So they've gone too far to one side and said everybody just works every shift, instead of them saying we're hiring people for this shift, we're hiring people for this shift, evenings, we're hiring someone just for weekends, we're hiring someone for evenings on the weekends, right? Part-time person, right? If you hire people for a specific shift, there's going to be less fighting and anger, especially when you're like, I'm sorry, Dave, I know you want days, but we need to put you on nights because you're the most experienced person. Dave's not going to stay long. Dave's not going to be happy about that. You've just started Dave's job hunt process for him, right? Yeah. I don't know why that popped up. Yeah, the two HR tools I was talking about at the start, it's just using AI to draft your policies, right? That's a tool. Use it. The second one is the HR receipt system, where incident, simple, it's just little quarter sheet of paper, just goes into the file, into the employee file. And then when you're doing your employee review, then you can remember these situations, right? Oh man, today's show sucks big time. I don't know why my AI let me down. There's an example. I was rushed this morning and didn't get a proper chance to read through the show notes. I had ChatGPT create for me. I didn't properly read. I started to read it. The first two looked familiar, but they were continuations. So I was like, okay, that's fine. But there's a prime example of why you've got to review stuff better when it comes out of AI, or else you end up looking stupid like me, like somebody who doesn't know how to use AI. I usually do my show notes first thing in the morning when I get going on the weekdays. So 9 or 10 o'clock, I do my show notes, I review them, and then I paste them into the show so I can read them. I was rushed, and I ruined everything. So you got to be careful. Nobody's got any cool questions for us. Let's go to the hot sheets. Or not. My interwebs are going super slow. Sorry guys, I don't know what to talk about. Show notes are gone. I got some blog stuff I could talk about. This is the worst Monday show ever. Someone ask me an HR question right now. Right now, put it in the comments. Let's chat about HR. If you are a small business owner and you're looking to hire your first employee, make sure you make a proper list of the job description. You need to create this job description. It is as simple as just putting all the job tasks down that they're going to be doing. I say hire a client-facing person first, or a sales person first. This takes you as the owner or manager out of that position so you can build the business. And you can't do that until you start generating revenue. So with your first employee, first main goal, create that job description. Then you're going to create the job ad. And like I mentioned before, you're going to be very specific about the shift. You're going to be very open about the pay or salary. Because these things, imagine finding the best candidate on the planet, and you do a phone interview, you do a regular interview, you review all their references, at least 2 or 3, and then you give them a job offer. And they're like, oh, I was expecting a lot more money. I'm going to have to pass. How much time did you waste? Or, oh, I didn't realize I had to work evening shifts or weekends or whatever. That's not what I'm looking for. Sorry. I'm going to have to turn you down, right? So putting the actual hours for each position in there is important. And you can never, ever expect someone to be flexible and change shifts. Hire someone else for a different shift. So, if you are advertising a certain amount of pay, I would put a pay range. Then you can say pay based on experience. Sorry, yawning. So if your pay range is, if you're living in Alberta or Edmonton, Alberta, you should be paying at least, I think it's $22.60. So I would start, the local minimum wage in Edmonton is at least $23. If you're paying less than $23, you're paying poverty wages. So your pay range is going to be $23 to, $28 an hour. And you need to decide what you mean by experienced. If they've got no experience, but you're willing to take a chance on them, they're starting at $23 an hour. Never start them lower or offer them a lower rate because they don't have any experience. If you're interested in that person, then you should be paying them properly. $23 an hour, right? So that's your low end for someone with no experience. Your high end, $28 an hour. That's your max. You're never going to pay more than that. This is for someone with but pick something that you feel is right. 5 to 10 years experience, right? If someone's got more than 10 years experience, they're probably not for you, because you shouldn't be paying that low. Put that 0 experience, 5 years experience, right? So then you can properly gauge in the middle. I know businesses are always just trying to lowball and pay as little as possible, but also try to be as fair as possible. Someone's chatting. They're probably mad at me. Oh, no. Just the spammer from Twitch. Wah, wah, wah. I'm not going to give them the time of day anymore. So, you've got that range, and you put that range on your job description. And you're for sure, whoever you hire is getting at least 23. And the max you're going to offer for the most experience for this role is the 28. You stick to your guns when you're hiring that person. As you move on, if you were willing to pay someone $28 an hour, that's what you're willing to move up to as they gain experience with you also, right? Be fair. So you got that job description. You got that job ad created. Now, where are you going to post it? Small business owner? I'd send it to my friends and family first. Hey, is there anyone in the family willing to come work for me? Is there, hey, anyone in my friends group willing to come work for me? Right? You should be doing that. Why not? Why not hire your friends and family? When it comes to friends and family, it can be fun, but it can also be really difficult. So you need to make sure that they understand the rules for working with you. So that being said, before you hire anyone, as you're waiting for responses and people to get back to you, you're going to create some basic policies. It doesn't have to be a big 20-page policy book. It's going to be, I don't know, the top 5 things that you're concerned with about having an employee. Job ad, you've already put the hours of work. Are they in a role where they're dependent on clients walking in? If they're just on a sales team, I really don't give a hoot if they're constantly 10-15 minutes late. I don't care. I'm just paying them quarter hour less a day, right? I don't care. But if they are the person who opens up the store and lets customers in at a certain time, that's important, right? They must be there in time to open the store. So what do? In both cases, either case, you want employees to start work at a certain time. You should be paying them for any prep time. So if you want the store open at 8 a.m. every morning, you should start paying your employee at 7:45. So they should be arriving to the location at 7:45 and they start getting paid. And they've got 15 minutes to prep themselves, get their till ready, open the store, whatever they need to do. You start paying them more. In some cases, depending on what your business is, maybe you get them to come in at 7:30 each day and they start getting paid at 7:30. And if they do happen to be late all the time, then they're only late when customers aren't around, right? But you need to pay for that time. You can't demand that someone arrive to the workplace 15 minutes early, get ready, and be sitting at their desk or opening the door right at the start time. without being paid for that prep time. That prep time, they're doing that prep time because they're working for you. They wouldn't be doing that prep time if they weren't working for you. That's where there's a really great argument that people should start getting paid from when they leave their house, right? When some organizations, say in an oil field or construction industry, the crews get travel pay. So they arrive at the shop, they jump in the crew vehicle and they drive out to wherever the job site is. They're not getting paid their regular hourly rate for the drive out there. If they're normally making, $35 an hour for their role, they're only making that when they're on the job site. The travel time is being prorated at minimum wage, $15 an hour, or $20 an hour or something, or $5 less an hour than what they would normally make. As low as $15 an hour, the legal minimum wage, right? So there is the argument that if you're an office worker or something, or travel time should be paid time. So because people don't travel to work unless you've hired them to work. So there's a certain level of responsibility that is there. But in society, in our capitalist society, we're adverse to that, right? We're like, no, they're not at work. They only get paid while they're at work. I think society's changing. I think everybody might get $20 travel bonus each day or something, right? Like something a little bit that helps them get to work. Now, that being said, if people take the bus to work each day, maybe you're giving out free bus passes, transit passes. But to be fair, then you should be paying that same amount of that bus pass to the people that drive. Right? There is a responsibility there to do better and be better as an organization. What do we do? Job description, important. Don't just try to say, oh, I need someone to work the till. What else are they doing? You're going to get someone who's just going to stand there chewing bubblegum all day and maybe scrolling on their phone because you didn't tell them that each day they need to straighten the shelves, dust the shelves, load the cooler, sweep the store when nobody's around, mop up the snow and ice. This is Canada. Right? Check the washroom. If you got a washroom on site, that should be cleaned multiple times per day. And these need to be on the job description. And then you need to train them. And then you need to make sure that they're doing it, right? If you're just saying cashier, and then you're getting mad and yelling, oh, these people have no common sense. Why aren't they doing all this other things? Because they weren't told. Doing a job and doing additional tasks are not common sense. Just like safety on a job site is not common sense. It is trained, it is learned, and must be constantly reminded. People must be constantly reminded of these things, right? So, right, job description, job ad, your 5 basic policies, keep them as short as possible. whether it's being late, dress code, behavior, how you're behaving to clients, customers, right? Whatever policies you think are very important to you. Cleanliness at the workspace. I know some people are extremely, I was going to say claustrophobic, but that's not the word. They're clean freaks. So you want to make sure there's a policy in there that you have to keep your workspace clean, right? And use it as a safety concern, right? We're trying not to attract bugs or whatever. Or if there's clients coming in, you got to make sure that they're not slipping on the snow and ice as they walk in the building. These are things that have to be done. And you should make sure you got policies for them if they're really concerning you. But just get that first 5 policies in there. And as you move along, things will come up. And you might need to update these or create new ones. But don't think that you need to create a massive policy handbook. And massive policies, 1 paragraph, 2 to 3 sentences per policy. That's a good place to start. And of course, ChatGPT could help you with that. What else? Oh yes, nepotism. Talk to your friends and family first to see if any of those people want to work for you. We know can be difficulty working with family or friends because they know you a different way. That's why we get those 5 policies out. Then I would say try to find someone local. It's close to your workplace as possible. I mean, it's a bonus if it's online work. Everybody's remote anyway. Friends and family. I'm in Edmonton. I got relatives in BC, Northern Alberta, Southern Alberta. Where else? There's extended family down in the States. You know, we're like 5th or 6th, 10th cousin, twice removed type people, right? But they could be working anywhere. That's great if you get a remote situation. But if you are a physical location and you need people on site, and I don't mean people on site to do accountant work or sales work, that's outgoing sales call, your sales team, right? Like they don't have to be located. Save your money. Don't rent a location. Don't buy a big building. Let people work from their home, right? And just give them an extra $50 a month to help pay for their internet connection. You don't have to pay the rent on an office space. So, job description, job ad, your 5 most pressing policies, nepotism, ask your friends and family, and then try to get people that work close or live close to you. So, I mean, I'm thinking about my neighborhood, across the dog park, there's some locations. Why? I could just post a job ad in my location, in my store. Depending on the type of business, the clientele, your customers, are local. And if they're not local, they are people willing to travel and have successfully traveled further distance to come be your client. So if they're willing to come be your client, they have the ability to come be your employee. So when we think about that proximity is client proximity, right? It's someone who knows your business. Before you post to Indeed or any of those online job places, because you're gonna get a ton of garbage. That's the way it works. You should contact local organizations first. So if you're in Edmonton, send an email to the community league and say, hey, I'm hiring for this position. Would you be willing to send this to your membership? And that goes out to everybody in the community that's a member of the local community league. Hundreds of people, possibly thousands of people, right? If you have some sort of local society, charity group, these sorts of nonprofits, the local church, the local religious community, the mosque, the temple, community hub type stuff, absolutely connect with them first. You're going to find that local person who possibly only has a 2-minute walk to get to work, as opposed to an hour and a half commute from outside the city or something, right? You want to make it as easy as possible. And too often, employers discriminate against someone who lives far away because they think that person is going to be late all the time, or they live in a certain neighborhood and they don't want those people there, right? Like, you can be biased, you can be racist. So look for local people first. If you can't find someone local, then put the job ad up. But I really think finding a local person is really key, and it makes it a lot easier for you. That's what a business should be doing if you're hiring your first person. Create that job ad, create that job description, create that job ad, create your 5 most pressing policies, ask your friends and family, ask local people, including your customers and clients, and then reach out to local community organizations, right? The churches, the community leagues, the nonprofits, whatever those might be, church, the mosque, the temple, where these people gather. This is what you want to connect with. You do these 6 things before you post it on Indeed. Now, I know it's easy. It's easy to post it to Indeed first and get the ball rolling. But you need to really use your resources first. And I would say even before going to Indeed, once you've gone to all these places, then you pop it on your own social media for your organization. Social media for the organization is number 7. All your socials. Then number 8 would be Indeed or the big job board. It's kind of moving outward from you, right? My friends and family, my neighbors, people that live closest to us, the people in my community, then the people that are on my social media. And then the biggest is going to Indeed. But you're going to get 150 applications of people that just aren't qualified or live on the moon, right? So be purposeful with your hiring process. If you got any questions, put them in the chat. I'll try to answer them next episode. If you're having staff drama issues, go get my ebook. I'll put the link up here just a sec. Or not. I don't have it here. Just go to all my links, check that QR code, go to that link. You'll see my $7 ebook there to give you basic HR advice if you got staff drama in your organization that you want to solve. And I'll talk to you tomorrow. I promise the show should be better. Okay.